Hi all, it's Michelle from Cozyegg, and today is December 22nd, 2025, and this is episode 158. So it has been quite some time since I last saw you. The last thing that I put out was my Dark October vlogs, and yeah, it's been a while. So I am recording on a new phone. I have new glasses, and I am seeing that I am getting a ton of shadows. I'll have to work that out, but we're just gonna roll with it. So, yeah, lots been going on. Obviously, it's kind of all of November, almost all of December. So, this is probably going to be a long one. So get your stitching, settle in, and we will just work through it a little bit at a time. So much to tell you. Work has been a lot lately, but I took off a week at Thanksgiving, which I desperately needed, and I am off this week and next week. So yay for me. I really need a break. So we did, as you may recall, Ramsey's had his surgery in October and had his teeth cleaned and all that good stuff. We did finally get to take his cone off of him. And he is fully recovered from his surgery. Everything looks good. His fur is still growing back. He went to the vet in November because he got an upper respiratory infection, and so we had to get him antibiotics for that. He then recovered from that, and then last week I took him to get his annual exam and vaccination and all that good stuff. So yeah, but he's doing well now, which I'm very thankful for. And yeah, we're all doing well. It's the time of year, but we're all doing well. So yeah. So let's see. What can I tell you about? Well, we'll move into the stitching, and then I'll just kind of work from there. So I have a lot to show you. At least it feels like a lot. Okay, so at the end of my last video, at the end of October, I was working on The Cat and the Moon by Brenda Gervais, and I finished it. So just a few days into November, I was able to get him done, and I love him so much. So much. And now you're probably wondering what fabric this is on. I stitched it with the called for colors with one change. So it actually calls for his face to be done in black coffee, which is kind of a dark brown. This has reminded me of Tut ever since I originally saw it, and so I did his face in black, in that charcoal black that it called for, which was like coal or something. So that's the only change I made, but I really love him. I'm so glad I finally got around to stitching him. He was so fun. I originally started it on a 32 count Winter Moon by Zweigart. Absolutely hated it. So I bought another piece of fabric, and this is Seraphim something. I don't know. No clue. I'll put it in the show notes, but I don't remember what I used. And this was much better. So the stars are a little bit ghosty on it. They're less ghosty in person, but really, really love this. And so this is ready to be FFO'd. I need to get some pom-pom trim to go around this, but I have so Kindred Stitcher, like a couple years ago, stitched this and finished it in an antique candy dish vase kind of situation that was matte black, fantastic. And as soon as I saw it, my friend Mary was like, I'm totally doing this. And she scoured the ends of the earth and found herself one of these candy dishes, and then found one for me because I was like, yes, I need to do this too. So, so I have had that for a couple of years, I think. And so that's how I'm going to finish that, instead of the little, kind of crepe paper thing, that it calls for. So, I just need to get around to doing that. And I love him so much. So hopefully by next Halloween, he will be done. And then after that, I kind of looked at what I wanted to work on in November, and I had 2 things that I really wanted to work on. Actually 3, but who's counting? But one of them was Celebrate Harvest, also by Brenda Gervais. Apparently I'm in my Brenda Gervais era now. And so I decided I've been wanting to stitch this ever since I saw it, when she first had it, when she first released it as part of her Mayflower piece, as a little extra in there. And I just absolutely love it. So I've been wanting to stitch this. I finally did it. And I started this in November, finished it by Thanksgiving, and I absolutely love it. I used all of the called for colors, with the exception of the orange on the little turkeys. For whatever reason, I did not order that thread when I was ordering the other threads that I needed. I don't know why. So I just used the DMC equivalent, whatever. It's fine. That's the only thing that I subbed. Everything else is as called for, and I stitched this on 40 count. This was an orphan linen from Needle and Flax. It was one of her dark options, and I think it turned out perfect. I really love it. So I'm hoping that for next Thanksgiving, next November, I will have this finished as well. I think I'm going to finish it just as a little pillow, because I realized this year that I have a good amount of Halloween decorations. I do not have a good amount of fall, not Halloween decorations. And specifically, I really like to have that pause in between Halloween and Christmas and actually celebrate fall and Thanksgiving. And I don't have a lot of stitching related to that, which I would really like to rectify that situation. So this is my first step in that direction. And I really would like to have this finished for next year, and then maybe hopefully stitch some other things. So, because I have some other smalls that I really want to stitch, like some prairie schoolers and stuff. So, so both of those I started and finished. And let's see, what else do I have here? So then I got to thinking about what I wanted to stitch in December. Like I said, I finished that right before Thanksgiving, and so then I was like, okay, now what do I want to do? And this is the past 2 years, I have done 0 Christmas stitching, really, because I was stitching models. I was stitching my Bristol model the year before last, and then last year I was stitching the model for Henrietta. And so I haven't done any Christmas stitching really in 2 years. And so this year I was like, hot damn, we're gonna stitch some Christmas. So I was very excited about that, but then it was like overload, like, okay, what am I gonna stitch? But the Jingle Ball was upon me. So I decided I should probably work on one of my Jingle Ball pieces. So I did obviously participate in the Jingle Ball, and I signed up for 2 classes. I signed up for both of the Stacey Nash classes. So one of them was the first in her Christmas cookies series, and this is Ginger, and I love her so much. So this is similar to her animal crackers, but these are Christmas cookies instead of animal crackers, and I just think she is adorable. So I signed up for this, and then I also signed up for her Gingerbread Man sewing book. I mean, seriously. So I took both of these classes, and so because I was signed up for these and I got the kits for them, I decided maybe I should work on, stitching one of these, because last year for the Jingle Ball, I signed up for this and got the kit for it, and I have yet to start it. So that's on the agenda for next year. But in the meantime, I decided maybe I should work on one of these pieces for the Jingle Ball. So I decided to do the Gingerbread Man, because I figured there's no way I'm getting Ginger, the little mouse, stitched. That's just not gonna happen. So let me work on the Gingerbread Man. So I picked him up, and it took me until after the Jingle Ball to get this done, but who's counting? So I got the front and the back stitched. He's so cute. He's on this Blackberries Primitives fabric. There's the front of him. And there's the back. I love his little pocket. He's so cute. So like I said, I got the kit for both of these. I'm not sure how I'm gonna finish them yet. Here's what I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards, I've seen several people that stitched the gingerbread house from last year, and instead of doing it as a sewing book, stitched it as like a piece, like one piece, like a mattress finish. I'm tempted to do that, because I'm kind of thinking I would really love to have, like a basket or a bowl or something that has like that little gingerbread house from last year in it. My little gingerbread man maybe finished as like, a little animal cracker kind of pillow. My animal cracker, of course, also Ginger, or Christmas cookie, sorry, Ginger finished. And then Stacy had also, she also gave us, last year, she gave us a little gingerbread house, like a single gingerbread house that she stitched just with white on, brown linen, which was her freebie this year. And then this year with the gingerbread man, she also gave us a set of 3 gingerbread houses. So I'm like, I feel like I need like a bowl that has all these things in it. And on top of that, she released her next one in the Christmas cookie series. She released Sugar, which is a skunk in a sweater. And I was like, add to cart. Like, I could not check out fast enough. I gotta stitch the skunk in a sweater, faux show. So, and then she also had like a little Christmas townhouse sewing book thing, bought that. And then she had another little cute building that was like a sewing roll that has, you know, like Santa Claus in his sleigh riding over the rooftop, and I gotta have that too. So, you know, of course, like night one Jingle Ball, I bought all of the Stacey Nash stuff because, yeah. So I'm kind of thinking that that's what I want to do, is maybe not finish these as like sewing books, needle, whatever things, but like just as little finished objects, rather than kind of sewing accessories. Thinking that's kind of what I want to do. I have to stitch them first though. So, yeah. They're so stinking cute though. And the Jingle Ball was so much fun. And I actually went back over the weekend and I was rewatching Stacy, the Gingerbread Man class. And at the end of it, or like, you know, kind of partially through it, she was talking about those gingerbread houses that she gave us as part of our chart. And she was talking about doing like an advent calendar or something with them, which would be so super cute. And doing a little like, you know, banner bunting kind of situation. But it triggered this memory in me, and so I had to go and dig this out. And this is a book. This is a Dutch book from a million years ago. And I actually bought this from GGR. This was released in like 1977, but I bought this from Gigi and like forever ago. So way back in the blog days, there was a stitcher that I believe bought a kit, and of course, you know, at the time you could buy the kit for these things, but she was stitching this advent calendar, and I was so completely in love with it. And I kept like looking at the kit, but it was expensive. So I was like, but I just absolutely loved it. And then of course, you know, fast forward like 10 years later, and Gigi was selling some of her stitching books, had this one for sale. When I found out that it had that pattern in it, I snatched this up. And I feel like I bought a second book too. There was, I feel like the Danish, it was like Danish Needlecraft Guild, Danish Handcraft Guild, something website, and they had a bunch of these, you know, charts. I feel like I bought a second book from her, but it wasn't with this one, so I may have imagined that. But regardless, I bought this one from Gigi because it had this pattern in it. And Stacy talking about the advent calendar reminded me of this. So I had to go dig it out. And so it's this. And it's like, you know, people shopping for Christmas trees, looking in Christmas windows, you know, the whole thing. There's just something that I just absolutely love about this. And so when I saw it done as an advent calendar, basically what they had done was they had sewn like little rings to like each of the little scenes. But I'm just so in love with this. There is just something that is just really cozy and Christmassy about that. I just love it. And there was I feel like there was a fabric by someone. It might have been like Rifle Paper Co. or something years ago that had a similar feel to this. It was like people shopping and, you know, Christmas trees and the whole thing. And it reminded me of this piece. But yeah, so I just had to dig this out because I really think I'm gonna have to not buy this. I've already bought it. I really think I'm gonna have to stitch this because it's just adorable. So anyway, I had to share. So if you ever come across this book, and it's got some other things in it, like there's this great nativity in it that actually someone in the homespun needlework group the other day, I think, had like came across one, but it's got this nativity, like the 3 pieces in here. I love that too. So anyway, I'm just in love with that piece so much. Anyway, so that's a next year thing. So I stitched my gingerbread man. I went to the Jingle Ball, had a great time, and just, you know, it's so much fun. I did Midsummer Stitch and I did the Harvest Moon Hangout. Enjoy both of those, but there's nothing quite like the Jingle Ball itself. I was definitely missing having Tut with me because he attended Jingle Ball with me last year, and I mean basically just curled up right here with me the whole time that I was on Jingle Ball last year, and so I was really missing him a lot this year. But what are you gonna do? So, but I did enjoy myself, and I actually feel a little more on top of it this year as far as like decorating and all that sort of thing. Like, I think gone are the days when I could just like decorate my whole house in a weekend. Like, I just can't, I don't have the energy for that anymore. And so what I would do is, like, after work, you know, one night we put the trees up, and then the next night I put the ornaments on the trees, and then the next night I put the nativity up, and then the next night I put out my village. And so that's just kind of how it went, and it worked well. I was able to get everything done. I wasn't exhausted after the fact. It took me a little longer to do it, but I think that's the way I'm gonna go now. And then last week, I kind of did the same thing with my holiday baking that I needed to do. So like one night I made fruitcake. One night I made fudge. One night I made peppermint bark. So yeah. So I have done all of my holiday baking. I'm decorated. I did my Christmas cards. Like, I just feel like I'm actually a little more on top of it this year, which is fantastic. So after I finished working on my gingerbread men for the Jingle Ball, I decided I wanted to get out, you know, some old Christmas whips and see what I wanted to work on. So I pulled out my Christmas project bags, and so here's one of them. The button is missing. I actually need to sew that back on. But these were things that I was like, I'd like to work on that this year, so let's get this out. So one of the things that I would like to work on is my piece by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. And this is not a color picture. I don't think I have a color picture, but it doesn't matter. So this is the Christmas celebration sampler. And I started this a million years ago. And so I'd really like to work on this. This was one of the pieces that I got out and said, yep, definitely want to work on that. And so here's where I'm at on that. And I'm stitching it on this Petty Point Swiss dot, whatever, fabric. And I love how it looks. It's so cute. It is gonna cause me some fits with the border, but we'll figure that out. But I really love this. It's so fun. That mug of cocoa with the marshmallows just kills me. So, really love this. And it's all DMC, except there's one week's thread that's called Snowflake. That's what the border's in. And it doesn't really show up well, so I'll have to figure that out. But it's so pretty. It goes from like light blue to pink to white. So it's, you know, it's kind of I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but it's kind of a perfect snowy color. So, and it's called Snowflake by Weeks. So that was one of my options to work on. So I got that out. And while we're here, we'll just look and see what else is in this bag, because you know I have multiple projects per project bag. So the other thing that is in this bag is another old whip. This is Peace on Earth by Blackbird Designs. This is Loose Feathers number 28. And let's see if there's a year on this. 2007, which is probably about the time I started it. So this was back when I used to be on auto ship for the Loose Feathers, and I would get them completely kitted and with the called for fabric and the called for threads. And so here's where we're at. Not a whole lot done on that, because honestly, this is kind of a pain in the ass to stitch. There's a lot to it. But one of these days, we'll get to it. I think this is 30 count fabric, because all of these called for 30 count fabric. And over dyes, they're probably weeks. Let's see. Looks like Weeks and Gentle Arts and maybe a Classic Color Works. Got these from Elegant Stitch, which is no longer in business. So, Christmas options number 1. Then I also have this little ornament bag. And let's see what's in here. So many things. So this is kind of a catch-all bag of these are things I'd like to stitch. So I bought this chart in Paris, and I really wanted to stitch this little tree with the wreath around So super cute. And I have my fabric, I have my batting and my cardboard templates, so I can stitch it and finish it all at one time. I have another chart in here that it looks like I only have the chart itself, but it is, it's called Winter Acorn, and it's by Cricket Collection, Cross-Eyed Cricket. And it's basically a winter acorn that has some blues and purples and some Krynic and what have you in it. And I started stitching this years ago on this purple fabric, but I was having to stitch it over one because this is 28 count and I hate stitching over one. So I was going to restart this on that lavender fabric that I bought, that's the Cozyegg color, that I did my Starry Moth on. So I just haven't restarted. I have this in here that is not kitted up, but it's in here. And what else do we have? Ah, yes, I have this little snowman. This was by Milady's Needle. And it was called Yuletide Hornbooks. And it's a little, so it came with a little wooden hornbook to finish it on. And it came as a kit with the fabric and the Belle Soie silk. And it's a little snowman. And there's like a little over one bunny and a little over one squirrel next to him. And then there's a border that goes all the way around. This is kind of the beginning of the border. And then some snowflakes. So I started this. This is not a whole lot of fun to stitch on, but it would be great if I could finish this and get it mounted onto that little hornbook so that I could have it as a little ornament. One day. So this is kind of my ornament bag, which, like I said, I just have sort of a plethora of things in. And then my other Christmas bag has two projects in it, one of which is what I chose to work on. So the thing in here that I did not choose to work on, I will show you that first. So I stitched the Birds of a Feather Green Santa, and I stitched and finished him a while ago. This is on 40 Count Weeks Cocoa with called for colors, except I did not use the metallics. I just converted those to, whatever I felt like using, like a gray and like a whiskey, I think, for the gold. So stitched him, finished him, love him. And I have the other three Santas, but these charts are something. So I have the red Santa, black Santa, and the gold Santa to do. I was talking to some friends and am contemplating buying the Colorado Cross Stitcher re-release of these because this is hard to see. So that may be a next year project, because I bought enough fabric that I could stitch all 4 on the same fabric and then finish them. And I'm probably just gonna finish them like as pillows, but I just love them. He's so cute. So that is in here, but since I did not want to start another Santa, the other piece that is in here is something that I started in 2012, and it is Shakespeare's Peddler Jenny Bean's Christmas Sampler. And Jenny Bean's Halloween Sampler was one of my favorite stitches ever. Like, I absolutely zipped through it, loved it, was so happy to stitch it. And when I saw this one come out, I loved the verse. I loved everything about this. And so I immediately bought all the stuff to stitch it, including the Lakeside linen. So it calls for 40 count vintage navy bean by Lakeside. And then it calls for sampler threads, Gentle Art sampler threads. So bought all that, started it, and then it got set aside. So I decided that that's what I was going to pick back up and work on. And these are the threads. They're so pretty. You've got this raspberry frost and like the weathered barn and these greens. And it's so pretty. Hi, baby. Did you come to help? So I have all of those, and this is in a project bag that I made, actually. And so I picked this up, and that is what I have been working on. So when I picked it up, I had the house done, I had the letters here done, the letters and the trees done, and I had come all the way across with these leaves and done this little star. And that's it. That's all I had done. So since then, since I picked it up, I have done all the leaves in this band, as well as the borders on either side of it. I did the verse and the border around that. And I've now started on this diamond band below here. So I'm loving it. I'm having some challenges with it because the chart is not great. It is a little hard to read. And I also got off at some point, and so I'm having to kind of compensate for that. But stitching it, enjoying it, so glad to pick this back up, and I'm really hoping that I can finish this. I really wanted to have it finished by Christmas. Not gonna happen, but because that's like 2 days away. But I'm just gonna keep at it and hopefully have a finish. So that is what I have been working on. And I'm going to pause for a moment and kind of organize myself, and then we will continue on. Okay, we're back. So that's what I've been working on in December. If I finish that, then I will move to my Christmas celebration sampler. or my little ornament or something. So that's the plan. I did want to share that I talked about in my last video that I was invited to participate in a Zoom call that where they are doing a stitch along of my Bristol Jane Ann 15 friends. And one of the sweet ladies that was part of the stitch along group sent me this Notions bag, which I absolutely love. It's got this Bristol fabric on it. It's so fantastic. So sweet. And the little thing here has a 15 on it, and then a little thing that says friends. So 15 friends. Isn't that sweet? I just love it. So cute. So cute. This is made by Abigail's House. Absolutely love it. So, let me talk about plans, and then we will talk books. Okay, so I don't typically do a blessing sampler. I have in the past done a New Year's start, but I think the past few years I've been working on models, so I didn't do that. But this year I decided I was going to do a blessing sampler. And so I've got my swan bag with the black swan zipper pull on it that a friend made for me because swans. And so I have not kitted this up yet, but I'm working on it. I fell in love with this years ago when it was released, and when I saw it in Beth's shop at the Jingle Ball, I was like, I think this needs to be my blessing sampler. It's not a sampler, I don't care, but no rules. This is Hope Song. And there is just something about that I absolutely love. I mean, it's a bird, first of all. It's a little chickadee. I just love it. And it just seems perfect for winter, for January, for blessing sampler. I love it. And I think it's a size that I could potentially actually finish in a month. So, we'll see. That gingerbread man kicked my ass. So, but I really love too that she includes different chickadees based on where you are, in case you want to do one that is local to you. So we actually get Carolina chickadees down here, so that's probably what I will do. But I love this. So that's what I'm going to start. I need to pick fabric for it. I think I've got fabric in my stash, and I've got most of the threads, but I have a few that I need to order, so I got to get on that. But that is my plan, and so I will start that on January 1st and hopefully finish it before the end of January, and that'll be my blessing sampler. So along the lines of plans, I think I mentioned in one of my last videos that I was watching a video by Plies and Hellhounds, who I love. Her Vlogmas is one of my favorite things too. But she was doing this Change Your Life challenge. And so she referenced the person that had started the challenge. And so I went and started watching that person's videos. And so two things came out of that. One is I really loved this idea of doing, 3 months to change your life kind of thing, and like picking some goals and working towards them in a very short, 3-month time frame. And she talks a lot about like specifically how to go about setting those goals and how to track them and all that sort of thing, which great. The other thing that came out of that too is that she talks about cyclical planning. And so instead of planning month by month or planning on a monthly basis, because the downfall of that is that not every month has the same number of days in it. Not every month has the same number of weeks in it. Not every month has the same number of Saturdays and Sundays in it, etc. And so by doing cyclical planning, you're breaking your year down into quarters, and every one of those quarters has the exact same number of days in it, the exact same number of weeks in it. And at the end of each cycle, so you have 3 cycles within a quarter, which is basically a month. At the end of each of those, you have a reset week so that you can basically kind of plan for the next one, kind of tie up any loose ends, all that good kind of stuff. So it really appealed to me. And it really appealed to something that I've been thinking about for a while, which is I don't like to start my year on January 1st. I really want to start my year near the spring equinox, because that makes more sense to me, because January is in the middle of winter, which is when you are supposed to be, kind of wintering and nesting and resting and hibernating, etc. You are not supposed to be going, gung-ho, a million miles an hour, starting new things, etc. So, of course, I just talked about a blessing sampler, but whatever. I'm a mixed bag. So, but so doing it, setting my planning kind of in a cyclical nature would allow me to plan more around and with the seasons, as well as it would allow me to start my year in March, which is when I want to start my year. And so I thought it was really interesting, and I am planning on doing that. They actually just started, the way that I've got everything organized, the winter solstice was actually the start of quarter 4, or the winter quarter. And so I'm kind of jumping in with both feet at the moment, and I'm also looking at doing the Change Your Life Challenge at the same time. And so I've been looking at goals, and one of the things that she talks about, this is Joshi Corin or Jess Corin, one of the things that she talks about is looking at what would have the most impact on your life. And so one of the things that I've been really looking at is trying to set up routines and rituals that will help me overall, as far as being able to get things done on a more consistent basis, because I feel like I'm a little all over the place and I have a hard time being consistent with things, like with cleaning, or with getting some of my kind of life admin tasks done, things like that, work on my websites, work on my designing, so on and so forth. And so I really liked this idea of, using that time to think about and implement some routines. So it's kind of giving me the opportunity to look at how can I fit these things into my life on a consistent basis. Because one of the things that I really struggle with is, when did I last do this? When does it need to be done again? Etc. So that's what I'm working towards. And I really like that the way that she kind of lays this out is so that you can look at it, like if you have one big task that you're trying to get done, like a big project or something, she kind of shows you how to break that down into smaller chunks across your quarter. Or if you're trying to create a habit, build a routine, that sort of thing, it's figuring out like how to set those, daily habits so that you're doing them consistently and getting in a routine of doing them. So I'm probably not making any sense. I'm probably rambling, but it's been really kind of life-changing, inspiring to really think about all of that and think about looking at my time in a brand new way and looking at it in smaller chunks. And one of the things that I really loved about, the fall, like when I was looking at for October, like what kind of October, vibes do I want to focus on? And so I kind of looked at, what do I want to stitch on? What books do I want to be reading? Do I want to do any kind of seasonal baking, things like that? And so starting to look at my year in quarters, and particularly in these seasonal quarters, allows me to look at, what kind of stitching do I want to focus on during that time frame? And do I want to do seasonal baking? Do I have seasonal reading that I want to do? Do I have, specific other things that, I really want to incorporate into my life, like quilting or, whatever. If I have projects that I want to work on, what makes sense based on the season. Like, I don't want to be, doing any kind of heavy lifting kind of stuff in summer when it's 1,000 degrees. So kind of looking at breaking things down that way, which I think is really interesting, and it's really kind of captivated my interest. So with that being said, I did purchase myself a new planner. For the past few years, I've been using the Hobonichi weeks, and that has been fantastic. I decided to go with a slightly bigger planner this year because I wanted the opportunity to have daily pages in here as well as weekly pages, because with the way that I'm going to be kind of setting up my planning, I think that it will be helpful for me to have dailies in here. So I'm gonna give this a try. This is the Hobonichi Han, and I had to get this cover because it's got these little woodland creatures on it, which I just thought was fun. So I have not set this up yet, but since the winter quarter just started, it's actually a good time to start thinking about, moving into a new planner so that I can start to kind of figure out like how I want to plan things. So that is on my list of things to do while I am off for the next couple of weeks. And we shall see if I can, what I figure out with that. But we'll see how this works out. And I will probably be updating you a little bit about, you know, kind of my goals and my cyclical planning and all of that sort of thing. Hopefully that's something that you're interested in. And, you know, a lot of folks, and like I said, how I got sort of introduced to that was Plies and Hellhounds was doing vlogging of her Change Your Life Challenge, which I find fascinating. And watching Jess Corrin doing her vlogging of her Change Your Life Challenge, also fascinating. And part of the reason I love that is because you're getting to see, you know, where the pitfalls are, where they struggle with, you know, continuing to hit their goals, meet their goals, etc. And one of the things that I love about Jess is that when something wasn't working and she wasn't like getting to her, you know, meal planning or getting to her exercising or whatever it was, instead of just saying, oh, well, I've just failed at this, it's not working, she tried to figure out, how can I make it work? Like, what do I need to change in order to make this thing work? And sometimes it meant changing the time of day. Sometimes it meant kind of coming at it from a different angle. And I really appreciated that because it showed you, you know, instead of just being sort of all or nothing, it gave you the opportunity to say, how can I modify this to make it work for me? So, love that. And we're just gonna see how that works out. But I'm excited about it. So let's talk about books, shall we? What have I been reading? I don't even know anymore. Okay, so the first thing that I read since we talked last was, what am I looking for? All right. The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. So this was I think this was the October selection for the SGR book club, which is the Sampler Guild of the Rockies. I've never read anything by Kate Quinn before, and this was really good. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. It was good. I did the audiobook, which sometimes that works for me and sometimes it doesn't, but it was good. And so I gave that one 5 stars. What else did I read? The next thing that I read was the book for my book club, which was Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. And this is the first time I read anything by T. Kingfisher. This is kind of a dark retelling of Snow White. And it was really, really a good book. I enjoyed it. It lost me a little bit there at the end, but overall, I thought this was really good. There were some elements of it that reminded me of Quicksilver, if you've read that. Not directly, but it just kind of had a similar vibe in some cases with the main character. So I really enjoyed this. It was definitely an interesting twist on on Snow White. So, and look at those poison green pages, the sprayed edges. I love that. So this was really good. Recommend it. I will be interested to read more T. Kingfisher, but I don't like horror, so I'm gonna have to be a little particular about which ones I read. The next thing I read was the World's Fair quilt. Let me see if I can find a photo of that. That was by Jennifer Chiaverini, and that was also for the SGR book club. I don't have a photo of it. Let's go out to Goodreads and see if we can find a that was an interesting one as well. So it's the second, sorry, that was for the November selection for the SGR book club. And it's the second book that we have read by Jennifer Chiaverini. Let's see if I can find it. So the book is, come on. The book is so unhelpful. It's part of a series called the Elm Creek Quilts. And she has written a ton of these. I mean, this is like book 28 or something. All right, here's the picture. That was not even worth it. But anyway, that's the book, Jennifer Chiaverini, World's Fair Quilt. Anyway, she's written a ton of these books. You know, they're all set in the same, with the same characters, etc. You can kind of dip in and out of them. Like, you don't have to have read the others in order to read this one. So this was the second book of hers that we've read, and it was enjoyable. I did the audio book on this one as well because I was trying to read Hemlock and Silver at the same time. It was good. It was, you know, nothing mind-blowing, but it was good. So, and then after that, I was still, you know, I was kind of attempting to do my Dark October reading, and it just did not pan out this year. So the next thing I read was, seriously, the next thing I read was I'm just having an issue. I can't talk and do this at the same time. So give me a minute. I'm gonna try. All right, so let's start this over. So The World's Fair Quilt by Jennifer Chiaverini, I read for November, the SGR book club, and it was good. Obviously has to do with quilting. The next book that I read was A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. So you may recall from my Dark October vlogs that this book my hold for this came in at the library. I checked it out, I started reading it, And then my hold for The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which was her first book, that one came in, so I started reading that one. My hold on this lapsed. So I had to wait for it to come around again. So it came around again in November, and I read it, and it was good. I think I enjoyed this one better than the other one, possibly. But it was good, you know, cute, cozy, low stakes. I think I mentioned in the other one that, you know, I don't love books about kids, so I mean, it wasn't super focused on kids, but there is some of that aspect. So, and then after I finished that, what did I read after that? Then I read Bridget Knightley's The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. So she had originally written a fan fiction story and then went on to publish this book. I devoured that fan fiction story last year, maybe, I think. Yeah. Maybe it was earlier. No, I think it was last year. Anyway, it was so good. So good. So I was kind of waiting for this to be published. My hold for it finally came in. It is not the same story, obviously, because it's not fan fiction, but the two they're like distant cousins. So if you read the fan fiction, you still want to read this because this is really good and different. But I really love her writing style. I really love the rapport between the characters. So one of the things that I do when I read is if I come across a word that I don't know, that I have to look up, I write that down in my reading journal. This book, like, she uses so many words that I don't know. And I kind of pride myself on having a pretty large vocabulary, but she uses a lot of words that I don't know. And so I really love that her writing is sort of elevated, and that even though she's kind of writing, you know, in this fantasy romance, enemies to lovers kind of trope, at the same time, like it's very intellectual. I love it. Like, this was a great book. I can't wait to read the next one. So good. Highly recommend. So yeah, The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. Really, really good. And then the next thing that I read was the December book for the SGR book club, which was The Christmas Holiday by Sophie Clare. And this was kind of a quick romantic comedy, not romantic comedy, a quick kind of cozy romance, holiday romance, small town, you know, that whole vibe. It was the perfect reading for December because it was low stakes, cozy, Christmassy, you know, Gilmore Girls-y, if they were in England. So this was good. You know, I have been kind of needing to just read like cozy low stakes books lately, minus that last one. But that's what I'm just feeling myself drawn towards right now, is just, I just need cozy books. I don't need anything that's going to require a whole lot of brain power. So I read that, really enjoyed it. And, you know, I mean, it was not earth-shattering, but then I went back to the book that I started in October for my Dark October reads. I had been so looking forward to this book. I've had it on my shelf for like 2 years now. And I have the sequel to it also. So I started this in October. I finally finished it in December. I picked it back up and made myself read it. And it did get better towards the end, but not enough to really salvage it. So it's Hollow by Karina Holly. So this is the third book of hers that I read. So the first book that I read was Blood Orange, which was fantastic. Loved it. The second book that I read was Black Rose, I think. Meh. It was a total disappointment. It was a sequel to Blood Orange. It was a total disappointment. This book I was so excited about because it was like spicy romance based on the Sleepy Hollow, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Okay. I was so bored by this. So bored. And like I said, it got a little better at the end, but at that point I really didn't care. So I have the sequel to this, Legend. I'm not in any hurry to read it. So there you go. And then the next thing that I read was another cozy romance book, The Christmas Tree Farm, by Lori Gilmore. So in October, I read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. And so then the next book was The Christmas Tree Farm. So I had been sort of saving that to read at Christmas time. And luckily it was available at the library when I was ready to read it. This was fun. I enjoyed it. It was perfect kind of, you know, vibes. And I love that these books, that she has like a playlist on Spotify for them. So you can just like go listen to that. And of course, Christmas Tree Farm by Taylor Swift is on there. But this was fun. I enjoyed it. And like I said, it was like perfect kind of holiday romance, cozy, whatever vibes. So that was good. And then after I finished that, I was kind of like, I didn't really know what I wanted to read. And I'm falling way short of my reading goal this year, but it is what it is. I'm not going to read 20 books in the next 6 days, but 8 days, whatever it is. So I picked this up, The Enchanted Greenhouse. This is the sequel to The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. And Kat Karras had mentioned in one of her videos that this takes place in winter, so I was like, perfect. Cozy, fantasy, winter, let's do it. So that is what I'm reading now. And then when I finish that, I will probably pick up the next book for the SGR book club, or the next book for my book club, which is The Rainfall Market. And I am really looking forward to reading this. It's not big. It is supposed to be really good, and it seems like it will be kind of a perfect January read. So this is probably next up as soon as I finish The Enchanted Greenhouse. So that is what I've been reading. My reading has been very slow lately, but so has my stitching. So that's just the way that we're rolling these days. So I think maybe that's it. Obviously, I have a lot of vlog footage for you. I haven't decided if I'm going to put it at the front like I normally do or put it at the back. I'll probably put it in the front, but whatever. I just want to say how much I appreciate each and every one of you that watches my videos, that mentions my videos, that comments, that recommends my videos to other people. I really appreciate it, because one of the ways that I find people that I really vibe with is by recommendations from other people that I vibe with. So definitely thank you for sending people my way. I appreciate it. And I don't know if I will be back before January 1st, but if not, you know, I'm going to be working on my blessing sampler, and I'm going to spend some time figuring out what else I want to work on this quarter, winter quarter. And I'm really looking forward to my cyclical planning and or seasonal planning, as it may be. So yeah, I think that's going to be fun. And so we'll talk a little bit about what my plans are for the rest of winter and all that good stuff. I hope that you are having a lovely holiday season. Yesterday was the winter solstice here in North America, and I hope that wherever you are taking some time to rest and hibernate in winter, or summer if you are in Australia. So happy stitching, happy solstice, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year if I don't see you before then. So thanks again for being here and for all of your lovely comments, and it's so appreciated. So thank you.